She called humans inferior, until one saved her life and gave her a family asterisk, a crash-landing lieutenant. Zara Vex pressed her scaled palm against the emergency console as her scout ship screamed through Earth's atmosphere. The Draconian Empire had sent her on a simple reconnaissance mission to catalog this primitive world's weaknesses. Humans were nothing more than soft-skinned creatures who barely understood fire, according to her briefings. How wrong those reports would prove to. Her ship's hull groaned under the stress of atmospheric entry. Warning lights flashed crimson across her reptilian features. The navigation system sparked and died, leaving her blind in the growing darkness. Through the viewport, she watched Earth's surface rush toward her at terminal velocity. This was not how a proud warrior of the Draconian fleet was supposed to die. The impact threw her against the bulkhead with bone-crushing force. Her superior Draconian physiology saved her from instant death, but pain lanced through her left wing where jagged metal had torn through the membrane. Green blood seeped from multiple wounds as she fought to remain conscious. The ship's emergency beacon was destroyed, meaning no rescue would come from her people. She was stranded on this backward planet with creatures she considered barely. Above animals outside, footsteps crunched through the forest debris. Zara's hand moved instinctively to her plasma weapon, ready to fight even in her weakened state. The footsteps grew closer, accompanied by a strange sound she didn't recognize. It was rhythmic, almost musical. Was this some primitive hunting song? Holy Mother of Pearl, came a voice in the crude human language. Ma'am, are you okay in there? The words confused her universal translator. This human was showing concern for her well-being? That made no tactical sense. She expected them to flee in terror or attack her damaged vessel. Instead, someone was actually trying to help. Through the cracked viewport, she saw a figure approaching cautiously. It was a human male, tall and lean, wearing strange blue coverings, and carrying what appeared to be a primitive tool belt. I'm coming in, the voice called out. Don't be scared. Scared? A Draconian warrior, afraid of a mere human? The insult would have made her laugh if breathing didn't hurt so much. But then the human appeared at her broken hatch, and something unexpected happened. Instead of the primitive, cowering creature she expected, she found herself looking into intelligent brown eyes filled with genuine worry. Jesus, you're hurt bad, the human said, scanning her injuries with surprising efficiency. I'm Jake Morrison, volunteer paramedic. Can you understand me? The translator worked overtime to process his rapid speech patterns. A paramedic? Her. Intelligence reports mention nothing about humans having organized medical responders. This Jake Morrison moved with purpose and training, his hands steady as he assessed her condition without showing fear of her alien appearance. I need to get you out of there before this whole thing catches fire, Jake continued, studying the smoking wreckage. Can you move? Zara tried to speak, but only managed a pained hiss. Her vocal cords were damaged, and her throat burned from inhaling smoke. Jake seemed to understand anyway, his expression growing more determined. Okay, I'm going to help you out. This might hurt, but I need you to trust me. Trust? The concept was foreign when applied to humans. But as Jake carefully worked to free her from the twisted metal, his movements were gentle, despite his obvious strength. He spoke constantly in soothing tones, explaining each action before he took it. When he finally pulled her free and laid her on soft grass, Zara found herself staring up at alien stars through human eyes. You're going to be okay, Jake promised, pulling supplies from his medical kit. I've got you now. As consciousness faded, Zara's last thought was troubling. This human was nothing like her people had described. He was competent, brave, and kind. If her intelligence was wrong about this one human, what else were they wrong about? Unexpected kindness Zara awoke to the scent of something wonderful. Her enhanced senses detected herbs and proteins, combining in ways her people had never imagined. The surface beneath her was soft, unlike the metal floors of draconian vessels. Sunlight streamed through transparent panels, warming her scales, in a way that felt almost luxurious. "Good, you're awake," came Jake's voice from nearby. "How are you feeling?" She tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Pain shot through her damaged wing, and her ribs protested the movement. Jake was beside her instantly, gently helping her settle back against what appeared to be primitive cushions. "Easy there, warrior princess," he said with what her translator identified as humor. "You took quite a beating in that crash. Your wing especially needs time to heal." Zara studied her surroundings with growing confusion. She was inside what appeared to be Jake's dwelling, lying on his sleeping platform. Medical supplies were arranged nearby, along with food and water. The human had brought her into his own home, and was caring for her like she was family, rather than an enemy alien. Why? She managed to croak, her voice still weak, but functional. Jake looked up from the cooking area, where he was preparing more of that enticing food. "Why what? Why help me? Your kind should fear mine." Jake laughed, a sound that was strangely pleasant to her sensitive hearing. "Lady, I'm a paramedic. I've seen car accidents, house fires, and every kind of medical emergency you can imagine. You think a few scales and fancy wings are going to scare me off from helping someone who's hurt?" He brought over a bowl of something that smelled like heaven. "Besides, you crashed pretty hard. Anyone would need help after going through what you did." The food was unlike anything in draconian military rations. It had depth, complexity, and warmth that seemed to spread through her entire body. Jake had somehow prepared nourishment that her alien physiology could not only process, but actually craved. "Your intelligence reports about humans," she said. Between careful bites, they were incomplete. "What kind of reports?" Jake asked, settling into a nearby chair. Zara hesitated. Revealing military intelligence was treason, but this human had already seen her ship. "My people believe yours are primitive, weak, without honor or capability." Jake raised what her translator called an eyebrow. "And what do you think now?" She gestured weakly around his dwelling. It was simple, but showed evidence of complex thinking. The medical care he'd provided was sophisticated. The food preparation showed advanced understanding of nutrition, and his behavior demonstrated emotional intelligence her own people often lacked. "I think my people may have made errors in their assessment." Jake grinned. "Well, that's a start. What's your name, by the way? I can't keep calling you the lady with the awesome wings forever." "Lieutenant Zara Vex of the Draconian Imperial Fleet." "Nice to meet you officially, Zara. Though I have to ask, what exactly was your fleet planning to do with all that intelligence about us primitive humans?" The direct question caught her off guard. In Draconian culture, such bluntness would be considered aggressive, but Jake's tone remained curious rather than hostile. She found herself wanting to answer honestly. "Conquest," she admitted. "Your world has resources we need." Instead of anger or fear, Jake just nodded thoughtfully. "Well, that explains the military scout ship. But you know what, Zara? I think your people might be in for a surprise if they try that." "What do you mean?" Jake stood and walked to his transparent wall panels, gazing out at the surrounding forest. "Humans don't like being conquered. We're kind of stubborn that way. Plus, we're a lot more capable than we probably look from the outside." As if to prove his point, he pulled out a small device and began speaking into it in rapid, technical language. Within minutes, Zara could hear approaching vehicles. Jake had just demonstrated communication technology and coordinated response capabilities that shouldn't exist on a primitive world. "Medical teams coming to check you over properly," Jake explained. "I did what I could, but you need real doctors." You contacted others? About me? Relax. I told them you were in a small aircraft accident. They don't need to know about the whole alien invasion thing just yet. Zara stared at this remarkable human who was protecting her even after she'd admitted her people planned to conquer his world. Everything she'd believed about humanity was crumbling, replaced by something far more complex and impressive. Learning about humanity. 3 weeks had passed since the crash, and Zara found herself experiencing something unprecedented in her military career. She was enjoying her time on an alien world. Jake had convinced the local medical team that she was a foreign exchange student with an unusual genetic condition, explaining her scales and wings as rare birth defects. The humans had accepted this explanation with surprising ease and treated her with nothing but kindness. Dr. Patricia Hoffman had been particularly fascinated by Zara's physiology, approaching her care with scientific curiosity rather than fear. Your bone density is remarkable, she told Zara during one examination, and your healing rate is about 3 times faster than normal human standards. Whatever part of the world you're from must have some interesting environmental factors. Zara had simply nodded and let the humans draw their own conclusions. The longer she stayed, the more impressed she became with their medical knowledge, their social structures, and their capacity for cooperation. This morning, Jake was teaching her to prepare what he called breakfast pancakes. The process involved precise measurements, timing, and technique that reminded her of chemistry protocols. But there was also an artistic element that appealed to her in ways military training never had. The secret is not overmixing the batter, Jake explained, demonstrating the proper folding technique. You want to be gentle with it. Let the ingredients come together naturally. Zara attempted to replicate his movements, but her claws made the process challenging. Jake noticed her frustration and moved closer, his hands covering hers to guide the motion. The contact sent an unexpected warmth through her scales. Like this, he said softly. See? You don't have to force it. Something in his tone made her look up, and she found his face much closer than she'd realized. Those intelligent brown eyes were studying her with an expression she couldn't quite identify. For a moment, neither of them moved. Jake, she began, but was interrupted by the sound of his communication device. He stepped back quickly, answering the call. Zara tried to focus on the pancakes, but her enhanced hearing caught fragments of the conversation. Something about unusual, readings and government interest, and we need to move her. When Jake ended the call, his expression was serious. Zara, we need to talk. They sat at his small eating surface with untouched pancakes between them. Jake's hands were clasped together, and he seemed to be choosing his words carefully. There. Are people asking questions about you? He said finally. Official people. The kind who don't take foreign exchange student as an answer. Zara's blood chilled. If human authorities captured her, they would eventually learn the truth about the Draconian Empire's plans. Her people would assume she'd been compromised and would accelerate their invasion timeline. What kind of people? Military intelligence. Probably. Your energy signature or something must have been detected when you crashed. They're going door to door, asking about unusual sightings. Zara stood abruptly, her warrior instincts engaging. I must leave immediately. You have done enough for me, human. I will not bring danger to your dwelling. Whoa, hold on. Jake rose as well, moving to block her path to the door. Where exactly are you planning to go? Your ship is scrap metal, and you're still healing from injuries that would have killed most people. I am Draconian. I survive. Yeah, you're tough as nails. I'll give you that. But you're also not thinking clearly. Jake's voice took on the same firm tone he'd used during her medical care. Those government types aren't just going to give up and go home. They'll keep looking. But I know these mountains better than anyone, and I know places they'll never find. You would hide me? Even knowing what my people planned for yours? Jake was quiet for a long moment, studying her face. When he spoke, his voice was gentle but determined. Zara, I've spent the last 3 weeks getting to know you. Not Lieutenant Vex of the Draconian whatever, but you, the person who gets excited about pancake recipes and asks a million questions about how human families work. The woman who helped me fix my roof, even with a damaged wing, because she couldn't stand watching me struggle alone. Zara felt something tight in her chest, an emotion she had no words for in either language. Your people might be planning conquest, Jake continued, but you're not your people. You're my friend, and friends don't abandon each other when things get complicated. Outside, the sound of approaching vehicles grew louder. Jake moved to his window and peered through the coverings. 3 black SUVs. Yeah, definitely government. He turned back to her with a grin that reminded her why humans had survived and thrived on this world. Hope you're ready for an adventure. Warrior Princess. Because we're about to find out just how inferior us humans really are. The chase and discovery the mountain cave Jake led her to was hidden behind a waterfall, accessible only through a narrow passage that required both climbing, skills, and local knowledge. As they caught their breath in the echoing darkness, Zara marveled at how easily this primitive human had evaded what appeared to be a sophisticated search operation. How did you know about this place? She asked, settling against the cool stone wall. Jake activated a small illumination device and began unpacking supplies from his emergency kit. My grandfather showed it to me when I was 12. He was a prospector back in the day, knew every cave and crevice in these mountains. Said this one saved his life during a blizzard in 1987. Your grandfather passed survival knowledge to you, Zara observed. This is tactical inheritance. I guess you could call it that, Jake laughed. We just called it family camping trips. As Jake prepared a simple meal over a portable heating unit, Zara found herself studying his movements with new appreciation. Every action was efficient and purposeful, showing training and experience that went far beyond what her intelligence reports had suggested about human capabilities. Jake, she said carefully, what exactly is a paramedic in your society? He looked up from the food preparation. Emergency medical technician. When people are hurt or sick, they call for help, and we respond. Vehicle accidents, heart attacks, house fires, natural disasters. Anything where lives are at stake. And this is common? Humans dedicating their lives to helping strangers? Well, yeah. We've got police who protect people, firefighters who rescue, people, doctors who heal people, teachers who educate people. Most of our jobs involve helping each other in some way. Zara absorbed this information with growing wonder. Draconian society was built around conquest and individual achievement. The idea of an entire civilization structured around mutual aid was completely foreign to her worldview. In my culture, she said slowly, strength is measured by what you can take from others. Your species measures strength by what you give to others. Jake paused in his cooking, looking at her with those perceptive brown eyes. Is that why you joined the military? To prove your strength? The question hit deeper than she expected. I joined because it was expected. Draconian females of noble birth serve in the fleet. We conquer worlds to bring glory to the Empire. But what did you want to do? No one had ever asked her that question. In Draconian society, personal desires were subordinate to duty and honor. But sitting in this quiet cave with this remarkable human, Zara found herself examining dreams she'd buried long ago. I wanted to study other worlds, she admitted. Not to conquer them, but to understand them. Their art, their music, their ways of life. But such interests were considered weakness. Jake handed her a bowl of warmed food, their fingers brushing in the exchange. That same electric sensation ran through her scales, stronger now than before. "That doesn't sound like weakness to me," he said softly. "That sounds like curiosity, intelligence, empathy. Some of humanity's greatest strengths." Outside their hiding place, the sound of helicopters echoed through the canyon. Jake moved to the cave entrance, peering through the curtain of water. "They're really committed to finding you," he observed. "This is more resources than they typically deploy for a missing person case." Zara joined him at the entrance, careful to stay hidden. "My ship's quantum core was still active when it crashed. If your scientists analyze it, they will learn about faster-than-light travel, energy weapons, and potentially the location of draconian space." Jake whistled low. "That would change everything for humanity, wouldn't it?" "Yes, it would also accelerate my people's invasion timeline. They cannot allow humans to develop such technology independently." They watched the helicopters circle the area, their search patterns methodical and thorough. Jake was quiet for several minutes, and Zara could see him processing the implications of what she'd told him. "How long do we have?" he asked finally. "If they recover significant technology, perhaps months before the first war fleets arrive." Jake turned to look at her, and Zara saw something in his expression that took her breath away. It wasn't fear, or anger, or despair. It was determination, mixed with something that looked almost like, "Then we need to get you home," he said. Zara stared at him. "What?" "You need to get back to your people and tell them what you've learned about humanity. Maybe prevent this war before it starts." "Jake, that's impossible. My ship is destroyed, and I'm stranded on your world." He smiled that confident human smile that had become so dear to her. "Zara, you're thinking like a draconian warrior. Think like a human for a minute. We don't give up when the first plan fails. We adapt, we improvise. We find another way." As if to prove his point, Jake pulled out his communication device and began making calls. Within minutes, he was speaking to someone about unusual materials recovery and academic research opportunities. Zara listened in amazement as he wove. A story about rare mineral samples and university partnerships. "Dr. Hoffman has a contact at NASA," Jake explained after ending the call. "If there's anyone who can help us figure out how to get you home, it's rocket scientists." Zara felt that tight sensation in her chest again, stronger than ever. This human was willing to risk everything to help her return to people who wanted. To conquer his world, all because he believed it might prevent a war. "Why would you do this for me?" she whispered. Jake reached out and gently touched her scaled cheek, his human skin warm against her cooler flesh. "Because I love you, Zara, and because I believe you can change everything." Love across the stars. The NASA facility buzzed with controlled excitement as Dr. Jennifer Walsh examined the quantum core fragments Jake and Zara had carefully extracted from the crash site. 3 months had passed since they'd made contact with the scientific community, and the breakthrough they'd all been hoping for was finally within reach. "The energy matrix is unlike anything in our current understanding of physics," Dr. Walsh explained to the assembled team. "But if Lieutenant Vex's calculations are correct, we should be able to create a stable communication channel to her home system." Zara stood beside Jake in the observation room, her hand intertwined with his. Their relationship had deepened. During the months of working together, moving from friendship to something neither of them had expected to find across the vast distances between worlds. "Are you ready for this?" Jake asked softly. "No," Zara admitted, "but it must be done." The communication array hummed to life, and suddenly the room filled with the harsh voice of High Commander Thane of the Draconian Fleet. His scaled face appeared on the viewing screen, eyes blazing with barely controlled fury. "Lieutenant Vex," he snarled in their native language, "you will explain your extended absence and the loss of your vessel." Zara straightened, falling automatically into military posture. But when she spoke, her voice carried a strength and conviction that surprised even herself. High Commander, I must report that our intelligence regarding the human species is dangerously inaccurate. Explain. They are not primitive or weak. They are a complex civilization with advanced medical knowledge, sophisticated social structures, and remarkable problem-solving abilities. They also possess something our culture lacks, the instinct to help rather than conquer. Commander Thane's eyes narrowed. You have been compromised by the enemy. I have been educated by new friends, Zara corrected. High Commander, I have observed their society for months. They do not deserve conquest. They deserve respect. You forget yourself, Lieutenant. The invasion fleet launches in 6 rotations. Jake stepped forward, and Zara quickly activated the universal translator so the humans could follow the conversation. Commander Thane, Jake said respectfully. I'm Jake Morrison, the human who found Lieutenant Vex after her crash. I'd like to speak for my species, if I may. The Draconian commander looked stunned that a human was addressing him directly. You dare speak to your betters, creature? Jake's response was calm but firm. Sir, with respect, I've spent months caring for one of your people as if she were my own family. Lieutenant Vex was injured and alone, and not once did any human harm her or try to exploit her presence here. We gave her medical care, shelter, food, and friendship. Is that really the behavior of an inferior species? Tricks and deception. No, sir, it's who we are. Humans help each other, and we help anyone else who needs it. That includes Draconians. Dr. Walsh stepped forward, holding up a datapad. Commander, we've analyzed Lieutenant Vex's ship components and developed several technological improvements that benefit both our species. We'd like to share this research freely, as a gesture of friendship. Commander Thane was silent for a long moment, clearly struggling to process what he was hearing. Zara seized the opportunity. High Commander, I formally request permission to remain on Earth as a cultural liaison. I can provide valuable intelligence about human capabilities while establishing diplomatic relations. Absolutely not. You will return immediately for debriefing and disciplinary action. Then you'll have to come get me, Zara said quietly, because I'm not leaving. Jake squeezed her hand, and she drew strength from his support. I have found something here that our people have forgotten exists, she continued. I have found love, genuine friendship, and a purpose beyond conquest. The humans have shown me what we could become if we chose cooperation over domination. Commander Thane's expression shifted from anger to something almost like confusion. Love? With a human? Yes, sir. And I'm not the only one who's been changed by this experience. Every human who has met me has treated me with kindness and respect. Despite knowing my people plan to invade their world, they are teaching me about art, music, literature, philosophy, things our culture abandoned in favor of military excellence. Dr. Walsh activated another screen, showing images of human achievements, hospitals, schools, art galleries, concerts, families gathered around dinner tables. Commander Thane, she said, this is what you'd be destroying. Not just a primitive species, but a civilization built on the idea that everyone deserves care and dignity, including your people, if you'll give us the chance to prove it. The silence stretched for several minutes. Finally, Commander Thane spoke, his voice less harsh than before. Lieutenant Vex, you were always one of our most promising officers. Your tactical mind and warrior spirit brought honor to your family line. They still do, sir. But now I fight for peace instead of conquest. Commander Thane looked directly at Jake through the screen. Human, you claim to love one of my people. Yes, sir, I do. And what would you sacrifice for this love? Jake didn't hesitate. Anything, everything, my life if necessary. And you, Lieutenant Vex? What do you sacrifice by remaining on this world? Zara smiled, the expression transforming her reptilian features with warmth and joy. Nothing, High Commander. I sacrifice nothing, because I have found everything I never knew I wanted. Commander Thane was quiet for a very long time. When he finally spoke, his words carried the weight of changing history. The invasion fleet will hold position at the edge of this system. Lieutenant Vex, you have one rotation to convince me that this path serves the Empire better than conquest. Succeed, and we negotiate. Fail, and we proceed as planned. The communication ended, leaving the room in stunned silence. Jake turned to Zara, his eyes bright with hope and determination. One day to save both our worlds. Think we can do it? Zara kissed him then, in front of the assembled humans and the cosmos itself, her scaled lips meeting his, in a promise that love could indeed conquer all. We're human now, she whispered against his mouth. We don't give up. We find another way. And as the sun set over the mountains where they'd first hidden together, Zara began composing the speech that would either unite two civilizations or condemn them both. But with Jake's hand in hers, and humanity's strength flowing through her heart, she had never been more ready for battle.